The OHL partners with some amazing community organizations in their programming, and I am thrilled to have Maddy, Kenyon, and Landon Kenny here with me to talk about the OHL Onside program. First of all, thank you for taking time and coming down today.
Thank you so much for having us.
I appreciate you having here. When I learned about this program, I said, let's have a conversation. Let's learn a little more about it. Now, you are both with the Sexual Assault Support Center of Waterloo Region, and that's a partnership in this program, along with the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centers and Kawartha Sexual Assault Center. And I want to just use this wording here to describe this because I love this. It's designed for OHL players and team staff, aimed at increasing the understanding and awareness of the players' responsibility to demonstrate respect for women through their actions and words. That says a lot right there. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the program was developed in coordination between the Sexual Assault Support Center of Waterloo and then the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center. We built that program after seeing an increased need for talking to players, communities about sexual violence prevention, consent, building on a lot of the education that we already did, but bringing it to the kind of very crucial aspect of Canadian identity of hockey, right? And there's been plenty of stories in the news recently and over the past several years that kind of aims at why this program is so essential. The program is just there to talk to them about, what it means to be leaders, how that reflects on masculinity, what does masculinity look like within hockey, and then how can we use their position as OHL players to kind of create a ripple effect of changing the culture of Canada, of hockey, towards a better one.
You used a great word there, Landon, and that's crucial. I think this is crucial for every level of hockey, but let's just focus on the OHL right now. And Maddy, why specifically, in your opinion, is this work so important?
Yeah, I mean, so as Landon was saying, this work's important in every sphere, but the thing about hockey culture is, and especially the path to professional hockey, is that there's so many features that can intensify violence, intensify the prevalence of violence. And so this would include things like the fact that kids are often leaving their homes very young, going to billet families, the fact that they're often sacrificing some of their education or the quality of their education in order to be moving forward with hockey, and the fact that there's lots of different stereotypes around what being a real man looks like in sports especially, and all of those things when they come together makes it especially easy for people to cause harm and also for people to be harmed. And so we kind of want to meet people where they're at in a very strange and vulnerable kind of subsect of the young men population.
I think it's a great initiative, and I know this has been over a decade of work that's been being done with this program. Maybe you can tell me, how has it been embraced by both the players and the teams?
Yeah, I mean, a great time to ask. The program has undergone a few changes in the past year, where the OHL really took a stand on making sure that it was mandatory for teams to receive this training. That has been kind of in place since it was implemented in the mid-2010s, but when they noticed that a lot of teams were kind of looking for opt-outs for, we can receive similar training like this from this other organization that misses some of the kind of key pieces we put into OHL Onside training on purpose. So the OHL, took a stand. They said, every team needs to get exactly this training. We'll work with it. So our organization became the coordinators of it, making sure everyone receives that training. And in doing so, they, the feedback that we have gotten now that it has been so standardized has been overwhelmingly positive. A lot of the players, really enjoy learning about their own role within, consent, building upon the aspects of, leadership that is drilled into them from a young age. If you've ever played hockey, you get told all the time, you guys are leaders in the community. And once you get to the level of the OHL, I mean, that just blows up. So when, we talk to them and we say, all of these things matter for you too. We are here not to judge, not to show that, hockey players are inherently harmful or anything, but rather to just have a conversation with you about how to take care of you, how to take care of the people that you love, how to take care of your community, and hope that spreads.
Education is everything, right?
Absolutely.
You can't expect people to know how to do something without educating them how to do it.
Well, and this is what we find. I would say another something that's been really interesting to notice is how desperate so many of the young men we're talking to are to have these conversations. It can be awkward when you first enter the room, especially when we say we're from the Sexual Assault Support Center. As soon as we start having these discussions and the first person will raise their hand and start to chime in, suddenly hands are up all over the room. fighting just to finish the session in time, because there's so many questions that they've never had an opportunity to ask. They feel silly asking. They're worried that they'll look like a bad person if they ask them. Like that's what makes this work so important, is going in, as Landon said, non-judgmentally, meeting them where they're at and trying to like pay the path forward.
You know, it's interesting because sometimes you just need, picture it like a snowball on the top of the hill. You just need somebody to put that little nudge, and then you have that groundswell. And I think it's a real testament to the work that SASC does, like that you have the openness and you have people responding to you that way. And I also think it's a testament that the entire league has looked to Waterloo Region and what you do to kind of spearhead all of this stuff here. So I think this is a great program, as I mentioned, but we're talking about the OHL level. So, and we're talking about what's happened so far, but how is this program going to evolve and expand in the future? And how can we expand it to lower levels?
So this is something that we're very lucky to have in terms of a partnership with a particular team. So we work with the Kitchener Rangers using the Rangers Reach Foundation, which is a community fund, and that helps to fund a program that we've developed called Leading by Example Youth. And so again, that's spearheaded out of the Sask Waterloo region, and that involves working with youth hockey players, predominantly at the rep level, although not exclusively. And we're working on these same kinds of topics, but again, age appropriate, and also trying to prevent harm before it happens instead of necessarily addressing harm that's already kind of started.
Yeah, preventative is always better than reactive, right?
Yeah. The goal is, we go in, we speak to these, U12, U14 teams, and then, if luck would have it, several years down the road, we go in, we do an OHL Onside, and one of the players in there goes, "I know this stuff. I've learned this stuff already.
This is old school for me.
You came here, you talked to me about this stuff. Let me tell you everything that I know." Right? It's something that we're like, eagerly working towards. And in addition, now that we have all of this feedback, now that we have all of this, we know how the OHL Onside program works, we're hoping to, continue working at it, continue improving it, continue kind of fine-tuning it. Hopefully, if they would have us expanding that program so that we can get in there more often, talk to these players about more stuff, about how they can continue to be leaders, how they can, stop violence when they see it, not only just kind of saying like, here's how to stop it within your own personal life, but also how to stop it when it's affecting others.
And this is where I want to plug just a little bit, saying like, how would we like to see this expand? Something that we're always trying to point out is that the kids doing this kind of programming who are getting it are people whose coaches already care enough to sign them up because it's optional. And so what we really need are coaches, and especially parents, who are going to advocate for their children to get this kind of training. That means people demanding that their kids get this Leading by Example youth training from Sask, because without that kind of like advocacy, their kids will never see this training.
Advocacy and education is everything.
Yeah,
That's it.
So Landon, I know your role is the Male Allies Program Coordinator, and I learned recently a bit about the Male Allies Program, and I actually had just talked to my wife and said, just so you know, I'm going to contact them, and I want to join this program. So I have not yet reached out, and here you are. You've got me on TV saying I want to be a part of this program.
Yes.
But for people that are watching out there, maybe you can explain a bit about the Male Allies Program, and if they're so inclined, how they can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. The Male Allies Program was started in 2008 at Sask, Waterloo, kind of a pioneering program in that sphere of recognizing for a very, very long time, the conversation on sexual violence prevention was geared towards, how do we talk to women about how to not become survivors, right? Whereas this program kind of recognized the need to like, how do we talk to men about these things? How do we bring it up there? How do we say like, hey, I'm not here to say that you're violent, but I'm here to say, have you heard your friends making these jokes, right? Is that something that we can challenge? Is that something that we can continue to do to stand in allyship with survivors, with women, with, the queer population? And then that program has since expanded. We now offer kind of my pride and joy, my favorite thing to deliver is something called the Male Allyship Training, which is, it's like 7 sessions over 7 weeks. We meet virtually in the evenings. I've had people from New Zealand join. I've had people from Pakistan join. People calling in from everywhere to say like, I want to learn more about how to become a male ally. I want to learn what it means to grapple with what it means to be a man today and how I can use that to help people. And if you want to learn more, if you want to know about like when those trainings are offered or anything like that, all of that information is always posted on our socials, which is SASCWR. You can find us on Instagram. Whenever those offerings are available for registration, the posts will be there pretty much first thing.
All right, SASCWR. You can find that info on Instagram. If you're interested in joining me for these 7 weeks, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it.
We'll talk about it as soon as we get off camera here. Last thing I want to mention, I know you guys were just at a KW Titans game, and now you're going to be coming to the Kitchener Rangers game on February the 27th against the Brampton Steelheads. So if you want more information, you've got the Instagram, but you're going to be available that evening in the community corner, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, we will, and we'll be dropping the puck. We'll have some info up on the jumbotron, and we will be boothing that whole evening. And so we look forward to meeting people out in community.
Absolutely.
So if you want to learn more about this program overall or about this Male Allies program, come and talk to Maddy and Landon on the 27th. Both of you, thank you for the amazing work you do, and thanks for coming in to talk about this
Thank you
today.
for having us.
It's a pleasure.